Thanks very much, Katrina, and welcome everybody. It's really great to see so many people joining onto a webinar, like almost over a year now since REACH has ended. And I wanted to thank Oxford, Katrina and Rob for organising this. I'm really looking forward to hearing from the speakers and how some of this work's being taken forward that REACH has initiated, and just to hear your perspectives on all these ongoing issues is going to be really exciting. As Katrina said, I've been part of REACH since it was just a concept, and it's just been so rewarding to see what's been achieved through the programme. It's been a real flagship programme for FCDO as well, and I think the A++ rating, which I'm sure you'll have all been aware was awarded at the end of the programme in the programme completion report. It's very unusual to get that in FCDO for a programme of this scale, and I think it really highlighted the success and the kind of ongoing progress that's been made on the agenda. And I think, you know, that's also helped to really maintain profile within FCDO and interest in what's coming out. I mean, I was looking at the kind of impact and VFM report we commissioned independently to verify the results, and it really is so impressive about what was achieved across such a wide-ranging portfolio of really rigorous research, but working in a partnership and feeding all these activities up to deliver real benefits and millions of beneficiaries with better water security and health and opportunities. And I think I really just wanted to stress here that we're very keen to hear about ongoing impacts and ongoing activities related, so that we can share that within our organisation. And I'd encourage everyone to share with Rob and Katrina and Oxford more broadly what's going on, just so that we can keep in touch and keep kind of track of how the legacy of REACH is extending beyond the 10 years of the programme. We're working with various kind of ex-REACH partners to try and carry on some of the work. We're looking to scale up Safe Pani in Bangladesh. We're funding the palm trees programme under our climate change programme. And we're now building a new water security programme, which will be a successor for REACH, and hopefully pick up on some of the work on water quality that we started off under REACH. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the talks now and seeing what's going on. And so just to say thanks very much. And it's been a pleasure to be part of REACH.
Thanks very much, Anna. So I've just got a few more words of introduction before I hand over to Rob introduce the speakers and to take us through the main events. So if we jump to the next slide. So as Anna mentioned, we had the program closure report. So one of the key metrics with REACH was always our chase for the 10 million people with improved water security. And so you can see in that program closure report, which is on the REACH website, a bit of the information about how we got there. We still have our stories of change there if people want to understand more about the program and how we deliver that impact. And as a group, we are still there's still many people who are working towards impact at scale, and we will continue, as Anna said, to track that and try to help FCDO understand how these type of research investments can leverage greater change beyond the life of them as well. So Rob and I and some of the team at Oxford, including Sonia Hoke, who's I think is on the call, are working towards that 100 million here, and I think there's many of you in your work who are doing that as well. On the next slide, I just wanted to highlight that this is the first of our alumni lecture series. So Fatima, if you can go to the next slide. When a few years before the end of REACH, we created an exit strategy so that we were really consciously thinking about what's the conclusion of the program look like versus what and how does that legacy continue. And so one of the key areas for that was always supporting the careers for early career researchers and really helping the team broadly to develop leadership in water security internationally. So this lecture series will be an annual lecture over the next 5 years to help bring together our REACH team again, but also to help continue to share the work they do with the world. So you can see where those who were trained across the REACH program and who spent time creating that research and those outputs, what they've gone into in their work. If you'd like to know more, do follow us on Oxford Water Network and also look at the LinkedIn site for Oxford Water Network as well. So with that, I will hand over to Rob Hope, who will take us through the speakers today. Thanks.
Okay. Many thanks, Katrina. Very warm welcome to everybody from Oxford. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm delighted to sort of host this section of the webinar where we've got 3 of the alumni who have agreed to speak to us, updating us on their research around water security. We've got around 30 minutes for this session, so I'm going to respectfully ask all the speakers to abide by that, so there's time at the end that we can have questions and engage a little bit more before we conclude on the hour. So the first speaker is Dr. Florence Tanui. Everybody knows her well from the REACH program. She's a hydrologist, and since February 2024, she's been a program officer for UNESCO based in Nairobi, sort of leading the groundwater security initiatives in East Africa and the Horn of Africa, working on areas of groundwater resilience, groundwater governance, and also transboundary water cooperation. So I'd like to warmly invite Florence to take the floor and give us her short presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rob, for that introduction. So I'll just go straight into the presentation. And today we are looking at the groundwater governance and resilience in Eastern Africa. This basically UNESCO Regional Office in Nairobi covers 13 countries, but I will highlight the areas or regions where we have active groundwater projects. We look at, of course, data issues. We also look at the assessments of the groundwater resources and also how the same can be utilized by the communities. Nearly similar structure as it was in the REACH project, but it is more also into the science policy and engagement side. Next slide. And so let me give you a perspective of UNESCO generally. UNESCO has different sectors. And in this meeting, I just want to highlight the natural sciences sector that has 5 more divisions. And these divisions include also the small island development states, which we call them the SEEDs. And they include Madagascar, Seychelles, and also Mauritius and Comoros as well. And we are looking at different issues inclusive of disaster risk reduction, which also forms a different division. We have as well division of ecological and earth sciences that looks into the MAP, that is the Man and Biosphere programs. And today, let me focus on the division of water sciences. This is where we have the intergovernmental hydrological program that is anchored within the member states, and also it conducts activities that are related to water, capacity building, and also coordination of water-related issues. Next slide. And so the IHP has evolved from 1965 all the way, being informed by the changing dynamics and conversations around water. And the current one is the science for a water secure in a changing environment that is going or has been going from 2022 to 2029. And it is under these evolutions that we engage the member states, and also it informs the various projects and programs that we are rolling out in different countries. Next slide. And so the UNESCO Water Division has what we call the UNESCO Water Family that leverages on different expertise from different agencies and also different, regions, and let me just paint a picture where we have the UNESCO staff themselves being experts, and they are also based in our headquarters in Paris. And within the regional offices, we also have expertise that have been, recruited to lead different projects and programs. We also have the IHP national committees around the 169 member states that are also being involved in the organization of the different projects and also different activities. We have, in this diagram, we can see what they are. And I want to highlight also the World Water Assessment Program, which we call the WAP, that looks into the social issues and livelihoods, as well as the gender integration into the water related programs. And this was much more related to really what REACH was doing in terms of having the social economic dynamics included in the water resources assessment, as well as the, informing the water supply to the communities. And of course, we have 71 UNESCO chairs that are, in different countries around the world that also help to inform the kind of the delivery of tools and inform the capacities at different levels in terms of quality control of the activities. Next slide. And so let me paint a picture of what we do here in UNESCO Nairobi. We have developed a tool called the Care for Water, which is the climate resilience and adaptation for water, which is anchored in three main pillars. The first one being the scientific assessment of water security to ensure evidence-based decisions. And this includes activities such as the managed aquifer recharge. We have climate risk informed decision analysis and the groundwater assessments. We also have the early warning systems being part of this particular pillar, as well as the surface water quality. And on the surface water quality, it is not only within the rivers, but also on the lakes, where I want to give an example of Lake Turkana, which was one of the REACH observatory here. Lake Turkana is one of the lakes that the government requested UNESCO to establish a project to monitor the lake fluctuations and also to inform the fishing dynamics within Lake Turkana. The second pillar is the prioritization based on social, economic, and water resources vulnerability, which is H-wise, and REACH community can tell you about the H-wise activities that were conducted also within our observatories. But we want to have this to inform areas of potential contamination and also individual water insecurity assessments as I-wise, which helps to inform where we need to drill the boreholes for the purpose of availing the water for those communities. And Turkana is one of the first regions to benefit from this intervention. And then we have the provision of sustainable services informed by prior activities of Pillar 1 and 2. And of course, capacity building around every activity that we do. There is always training that comes alongside that for both capacity development of human resource and also the technology transfer. Next slide. So this slide really shows the different projects that we have at the moment. The orange one showing the different projects that have been completed. And I want to apologize on the distortion on this slide. Basically, we look at within the Horn of Africa, we have, for example, limited understanding of the extent of the groundwater resources, or even having the tools that can inform the management of the same. So we have had different projects over the years, and I want to highlight the GAFA that I'm going to show briefly in my next slide. But we have projects not only within the Eastern Africa countries, but we have also in the islands that I mentioned, like in Mauritius, where we are looking at the Northern Aquifer to develop a decision support tool to inform the activities around the borehole drilling in the northern part of Mauritius, which is affected by the drought. In Lake Turkana, we have a project with WFP, that is World Food Program, where they partner with UNESCO, and it is being funded by the Dutch government. And it is a 10-year program funded for the first 5 years for now to inform the fishing dynamics. But UNESCO leads the integrated water resources management part, where we also have activities on groundwater anchored in the project. We have also completed a managed aquifer recharge study within the Turkana Basin in 2023 to 2024, where we have identified sites for interventions for managed aquifer recharge, and these are, of course, subject to pilot infrastructure that could be constructed within the basin. We have a Kilimanjaro transboundary aquifer system that I'm going to showcase as part of how we package the project in terms of key components of the activity. So allow me not to describe each and every one of them, but I want to mention that our projects, we co-develop sometimes with the other UN agencies and others directly with the member states, based on, of course, the needs that have been expressed in terms of, what they need what needs to be done, and also the availability of the donor funding. Next slide. So on this slide, basically, this is the GAFA. The GAFA project is the groundwater access facility for the IGAD region. This project, consolidated all the groundwater data sets that are available. And it is important to note the link on the slide because you can access it anytime and you can utilize the data for any research that you are undertaking. But also if you are, undertaking any prior activity that can inform your data collection, this could be a very good site to collect your information. The data has been validated. It is freely downloadable, and also you can customize or have other, to access different tools within IHP WINS. So IHP WINS really looks at bridging the gap on data collection and also, of course, consolidating in a database that has no timeline of expiry, and this will strengthen the member states and also anyone who wants to create a database that has a long-term long-term access. Sorry. So on this GAFA project was developed led by UNDP, but also with other UN agencies, and it is going forward now to the Sahel region in the Western Africa region, where they are piloting the same GAFA modality to have tools that are in the GAFA to inform where the donor funding would go, but also where should what should comprise the new projects around the groundwater development. So this IHP WINS requires a different webinar on its own to explain its functionalities, like, for example, the citizen science and also Internet of Things capabilities and others. So you can explore using that particular link and have access to the different data that you require. And so this is basically to highlight what we were doing in the Groundwater for Resilience project, where we were having the World Bank being the donor of the funds, and we had a partnership with other UN agencies, UNICEF and UNDP, and UNESCO was as well leading the development of the groundwater information system for the IGAD region, where we were providing the data sources, at the same time leading the harmonizations of the maps, because at UNESCO, we also look at transboundary conversations, and you cannot have transboundary conversations if also the geological maps are varying across the border. So some of the things that we have done is to harmonize the geological map at a scale of 1 to 5 million. I'll show you later on. And of course, we have facilitated different trainings to the member countries in order to ensure that they have the capability to also use the tools that have been generated from the various projects.
Florence,
and so
do you have much further to go over time?
All right, so this is
if you could wrap up, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is unlocking the groundwater potential for Kilimanjaro. This is the transboundary project we are developing for the Global Environmental Facility Fund, the GEF. And as you can see from the different components that have been highlighted, we look at the groundwater assessment. We also look at the expansion of the storage through managed aquifer recharge. We will also have some monitoring networks installed in this area to strengthen also the transboundary water governance through, of course, the development of a strategic action plan. And finally, the coordination and dissemination of the results, which is part of the things that could benefit long-term sustainability of the aquifer. So this map is one of the output of the harmonization of the geological map of the region. And also we have a similar hydrogeological map to support both the conversations and also the comparability of the information of groundwater within the region. And finally, I just want to highlight being a rich alumni, I think I have seen myself growing as a person, and at the same time using the skills gained to inform the different activities that I'm undertaking, looking at applied science both from the field and of course facilitating international dialogues at the regional level, and also contributing to the global conversations also. And this is one of the photographs taken during the World Water Week, showing how I have grown from the REACH project, and also being able to convene and have or guide different activities around the water security. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much, and I enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Florence. That was wonderful, and I'm sure we can make the slides available. Lots of things to follow up on there. To keep us moving forward, our next speaker, who's unavailable to join us today, has recorded her short contribution. So this is Dr. Engda Faleke, who is a gender specialist with WLRC based in Ethiopia, as many of you know. So she works on the BRIGHT project now, looking at integrated and inclusive IWRM across a number of river basins in Ethiopia, including the Awash Basin, where she was working for the REACH program. She's also been part of the REACH Wiser team and led on the qualitative research in that project as well. So I think, Fatima, can you help load the presentation, please? And while we're waiting for that, if there are any questions, usual instructions, there's a chat box there, so please post any questions. There's probably a number of those that can come up. Fatima, Aline, anybody available at your end to help?
Oh, sorry, Fatima is having a technical difficulty with the sound coming up.
Okay, so if Dennis,
Yes.
if you're ready, I think we'd invite you to speak next. Dennis obviously was the observatory coordinator for the REACH program in Kenya for many years, did a fabulous job. Now leads research on climate forecasting, adaptation, and legitimacy, and he's going to talk to us about that. So Dennis, please, 10 minutes over to you.
Thank you so much. So for today, I'm going to speak about climate for all. That's climate forecasting, adaptation, and legitimacy. A project in which I'm a lead researcher, working with colleagues. It's a collaborative research led by Exeter University in partnership with the University of Nairobi, Oxford University, and it's being implemented in Turkana County. The project is all on climate information. Thank you. Next slide. So this project actually explores whether seasonal forecasts enable pastoralists to cope with the droughts or the long dry seasons that we experience in Turkana, as many of us are aware. And we are trying to work with the local community just to understand the role of culture and how trust and legitimacy are essential for climate information to be credible, effective, and to reach out to as many as possible for enhanced adaptation. So what we are trying to look at is how should climate information incorporate traditional forecasts? How can hybridization between the indigenous knowledge, that's the traditional knowledge, and conventional forecasts, for example, by KMD, optimize uptake of climate information? Our main aim here is to understand how these forecasts can aid adaptation by the households in Turkana County and also enhance their coping mechanisms to enable them substantially respond or effectively respond to the climate change inputs. Next slide. So the approach this study has taken is an experimental design. So here we're trying to generate experimental evidence on climate information for the county to help the county government and the various stakeholders and the local community adapt effectively. And the experimental process or design takes various, actually 4 main stages or steps. So the first step, which we are currently on, is the baseline survey or baseline data collection, which is currently happening, and it's supposed to happen just before the season. We are looking at the March, April, May season. So currently we are actually finalizing the baseline. Then we will be moving to a treatment session where we will be offering information to various groups. So we've grouped the communities into various clusters, and we'll be offering one group conventional. The first treatment will be conventional focused, which will go to certain clusters. Then the second treatment will be conventional and traditional focused. That is more or less a hybrid focused that will also go to certain clusters. Then the control groups will receive no forecast. We are very keen to ensure that the clusters and the buffer zones are well checked, so that we are able to manage spillages from the information we will be providing both across the various clusters. That is the treatment group for conventional, hybrid, and also the group that is the control group, which is not receiving information. Then after that, we are going to go to post-treatment follow-up. This will be just immediately after offering the treatment. Then we will check if the seasonal expectations from the forecasts we'll have given will have changed after receiving the information these people will receive. That's for the treatment group. Then after that, we'll finalize with an endline survey, just checking how these people coped, the livelihood mechanisms they applied, and approaches they applied to ensuring that they were able to adapt to that season. Next. So here is a simple timeline, that we are following. So to start with, of course, as any other project, we've had to carry out certain preliminary activities, among them working on government approvals, scoping activities, stakeholder engagement activities through CSG meetings, for example, carrying out pilot studies, and planning of the field activity. That's cluster mapping and setting up on the logistics. Then we moved into the baseline, which I've just indicated we are almost done with. Actually, we are finishing the baseline tomorrow. That's for the quantitative aspects. Then qualitative will follow into the week following. Then after that, as I explained, we are simply going into the climate information intervention, where we'll be offering treatment to the various categories. And I've indicated we have 2 sets of treatment. The first treatment is conventional, where we'll be working with the KMD and the EMRONs to generate information. And the KMD will get the information from the KMD, the conventional information from the Kenya Meteorological Department. But for the hybrid, we are going to work with KMD and the EMRONs to come up with a hybrid forecast that will be offered as another form of treatment to be given to certain clusters. Then other groups will not receive any form of treatment. Then a follow-up survey, as I've mentioned, will just follow immediately to ensure we understand if there are any changes in mindset, any changes in thoughts about adaptation and activities these people want to set up for the adaptive capacity to enable them adapt to the season. Then we'll let the season flow from now March, moving up to March, April, May. Then we can fall back in June to come and now carry out an end line to see how the livelihoods or how they adapted, the activities they carried out, and some of the mechanisms they applied to adapt to the season. Next. So one of the things following this project, once we carried out the inception and started off, we got a special request from the county government to help in actually initiating a climate information system. And just to remind us from the REACH work, this work more or less was birthed from the work we carried earlier in acknowledgement with also Professor Uma, if he's in the house, and other team members. We were earlier carrying out some studies around climate information and how they were being distributed. So on that line, the county government made a special request to us for us to come up with a system that could enable them distribute or supply information effectively and optimally to enable these communities adapt. So the issue here is accessibility, timeliness, and decision relevance for this information, and having a database that is reliable for all the institutions led by the county government and other key partners. So the system is already developed. We already have the platform, but now we are in the process of building it up, which I'm just going to explain in the next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so following that request and the activities that have therefore been implemented preliminarily, we decided to come up with what we call a scientific advisory group. So the scientific advisory group is supposed to lead or help in bringing in partners and the projects that are implementing work around climate change to be part of the process of development of the climate information system for the county. So this is this group provides targeted expertise, research outputs, database, and models to support development of the system of evidence or outputs relevant to the current policy implementation around climate information system and generally climate change adaptation in the region. So we usually have regular monthly meetings where local policy stakeholders update on the current initiatives, some of the activities they are carrying out, the deadlines, and we try now to see how we can bring that into the system to help in optimizing the information that is to be released. So the system is still on. The development process is still on, and we believe we should be getting ready to have it out later this year. So again, for the scientific advisory group, it's organized in such a way that meetings are chaired by the various partners that are part of the group to enable or ensure sustainability, so that when the project ends, the thing doesn't collapse. We have some level of continuity within that process. Next slide.
Dennis, can I ask you to wrap up here, please?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I'm on the last slide. Yeah, so the last bit is just on partners who are part of this. As I've indicated, we have the University of Exeter, University of Nairobi, Oxford University, and in partnership with the county government, NDMA, MET, International Water Management Institute, Red Cross, we have Clare, Palm Trees, and University of Sussex. Thank you so much.
Dennis, wonderful. Such an interesting project. Thank you for sharing updates on that, which is very helpful. If there are questions, I can see one question, which I think is my question, in the chat box. So if you do have them, please post them so the speakers can respond to that. Now, with crossing my fingers, Aline is going to try and run this again.
Today, I'm gonna give you some highlights about water security, inequalities, gender, and social inclusion in the Ethiopian context from the ongoing BRIGHT project. So the key points that I will present on how the BRIGHT project considers gender and social inclusion, activities like evidence generation, capacity development, and that of innovation and strategic. So the acronym BRIGHT refers to Basin Management Support for Resilient, Inclusive Growth and Harmonized Transformation for the National Integrated Water Resource Management Program of Ethiopia. And BRIGHT is a 5-year project to be implemented in 5 river basins: Takase, Abai, Awash, that of Omo Gibe, and Rift Valley basins. All these big river basins have a diverse agroecology and different level of development. Under the BRIGHT project, this gender and social inclusion is expected and designed to be implemented by all 6 work packages, and it's also considered as high impact, high priority projects. The gender and social inclusion aspect of BRIGHT focuses on innovative technological solutions to reduce women's burden in unpaid care work. So the project supports the design, scale up, and innovation of technological solutions. When we launched the project in 2024, we have done different baseline situation assessments. Among these, the gender situational assessment is one, and I was the one who lead the situation assessment and working with that of the experts from Ministry of Water and Energy. And you can find the report in this link. Among the key activities under gender and social inclusion in the BRIGHT project, we have done gender audits and social norms mapping. We did gender auditing using the mixed method approach, once called, in the Apai, Awash, and Rift Valley Lakes Basin Administration. The main advantage or focus of the gender audit is to understand the status of gender mainstreaming in the basin administration offices, and that of the social norms mapping was done to understand and to identify the existing social norms that shape water use, access, and inclusive water governance in the different river basins. So the outcome of this activity was that we were able to understand the institutional, cultural, and capacity barriers that hinder the meaningful or effective gender mainstreaming in the different integrated water resource management activities undertaken by those basin administration offices. So we prepared action plans that support the basin administration offices to successfully implement their projects and activities with a gender lens. The other evidence generation activities from each river basin, we have selected 5 hotspot catchments which are important to be used as a model of development. So these hotspot catchments, like Harre from the Rift Valley, in France from Apai, Awash, Woshi from the Omo-Gibe Basin, and Wodecha catchment from Awash, and that of Sabayana from Takaze Basin. We have selected this, and we have done a very intensive situational assessment. By the way, during the situation assessment, the gender expert from the WLRC just lead the activities, give technical support or backstopping for Ministry of Water and Energy experts, basin administration, and university experts. So this is part of the capacity development events, research activity at the same time, engaging junior researchers and experts to undertake gender and social inclusion assessment in the context of water use, access, and management. So the method we used, or the data were generated using household survey, FGDs, and that of key informant interviews with different groups. Once we finalize the catchment situational assessments, we have prepared catchment management plans for 10 years for those selected 5 hotspot catchments that represent each of the river Other important activities that we have done under the BRIGHT project is capacity development. The capacity development activities targets institutional capacity development, experts and communities capacity development. So for institutional capacity development, we have prepared guidelines and we have also prepared training modules for gender and social inclusion with focus in IWRM. And we have also prepared manual for gender model family training that will be implemented in 5 basins. The other important thing or the other important activity based on our situation, the result of the situation assessment in the 5 catchments, we found that the communities are highly dependent on fuel wood for their domestic energy need. So there is high rate of deforestation, land degradation, sedimentation into the water bodies. So to address this one, we initiated, in collaboration with that of the Ministry of Water and Energy, we initiated the design, promotion, and advancement of energy-saving technologies for cooking, for household cooking. Based on that, we have given, for example, as one component, training of trainers at our government on improved FOI stove that is used for cooking, and we have also given a training of trainers on gender and social inclusion in IWRM for stakeholders within the Rift Valley Lakes Basin, which was given in Hawassa. So these activities are assumed to be important for an institutional capacity development, staff capacity development, to work in a very gender responsive and transformative way. So in the case of innovation and strategies, the one that I have already mentioned on improved FOI stove, there are around 32 stoves which are designed and produced by the initiative of BRIGHT, and it's under user verification currently, and we will make a verification assessment in the coming March. Then we will proceed to the that of the mass production, so that's important. The energy efficient stoves are important to reduce deforestation as well as to improve the life of women and the household at all. In addition to that, especially in the areas of Rift Valley Lakes Basin and that of Omogibe Basin, the community is highly dependent on insects, and they are processing in a very traditional way. So we have the initiative to mechanize insect processing so that the life of women and vulnerable group will be improved in that. Thank you very much. To conclude my presentation, the BRIGHT project has a very big ambition to improve the life of women, vulnerable communities, like people living with disabilities and those of the poor and the marginalized group, in using different aspects, like technology and trainings and other things. So we are hopeful in that aspect. In addition to that, I want to be thankful for the work with the REACH team during the past, which helped me to advance my understanding, my knowledge, and my research capacities in the areas of this water security, inequality, gender, and intersectionality aspects. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, we're very grateful for Dr. Inga Felekes for preparing and sharing that presentation, which throws up a host of really interesting issues. So she's not obviously here with us today. So if there are questions, I don't know if there's anybody else in the room who can answer them, but maybe we start thinking about questions for the first two presenters, Dennis and Florence. I had a question for you, Florence, in terms of why do you think agencies or projects choose not to share groundwater data, given the clear benefits of having that publicly available, and what do you think could be done to change practices?
Thank you, Rob, for that interesting question. And for sure, this has been a major issue, especially in the project with the World Bank, where we were consolidating all the groundwater information. We had a challenge like reaching out to all the agencies, even including the UN agencies that may be having the information. And so we came later on and we did a user needs assessments to really understand what are the underlying challenges. And we found out that one of the things that was more outstanding is if there is no benefit of why I am sharing the data. Like someone wants to see the output of why they shared the data. And that's why we had this GAFA platform that really also we invited the different member states to propose different projects that can be within the areas where they can see the data. So for example, for the borehole data, you can already see how deep you should drill the borehole, depending on the information that is available, and that changes the context. And then we also saw some institutional barriers where the data is not documented very well. And so for that case, then one may fear to share the information because of the institutional risk in terms of if the data has very poor quality, that may affect how you will perceive that particular organization going forward. And another issue was really on how the data is collected, documented, and this informs the last part of your question on what do we do to facilitate this data sharing. From where we sit, we see a need to have templates for data collection. For example, you know, when you collect data and you don't document even the period or the season where you collected that information, in terms of seasonalities, which is a context here in the Horn of Africa, we see a difficulty in understanding that particular data and how it could inform even any other intervention that you are planning. And so there is really need to have harmonized templates that could be used even by researchers when collecting information in order to make sure when you collect data in the field, it should still inform national institutions. Like here in Kenya, maybe you can liaise with Water Resources Authority to have, you know, how you can also fit into their own database, and that can help going forward. And lastly, really is having an open platform like the IHP WINS, where you can easily also download. I remember after we cleaned the data sets from the WRA, later on when they were developing their own national groundwater information system, which is still ongoing, they actually requested for their own data from ourselves. And so that really means there was a value addition that could also make them share the data in the future. And lastly, let me mention that UNESCO has developed the first roadmap for data sharing for Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia to guide data sharing within these three countries going forward. And of course, the sharing will start first from where we have transboundary aquifers, and going forward, we may see also basin data sets being shared in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Florence. I think that's very helpful, very good advice and context there. I think often researchers, when the end projects, that's the last thing they think about doing, but it's obviously a critical component of any work, and I think governments need to sort of take a firmer line on these things. Okay, I can't see questions in the chat box. I don't know if people wish to put up their hand or engage here. We've got a few more minutes to go. If not, no obligation. We Thank you, Aline. There is more information here that's available for everybody. We can share the presentations from today. So for those that are interested, we can make those available to everybody. But maybe, Katrina, maybe we start to wrap up then. There's only 5 minutes to go if there aren't any questions, if there are no responses. Okay, Katrina has a question. There we go.
I had one for Dennis. So thanks so much for the presentation, Dennis, and the work in Turkana. I wonder if you could, I wonder if you're in your work, if you've looked at how the development of boreholes and other water infrastructure is also driving the pastoralist coping mechanisms. If you look at that in relation to how they're perceiving the climate information they're receiving as well.
Thank you for that important question, Katrina. Yes, in the study, we are trying to look at some of the reasons why people are migrating from one point to another. And one of the things we are looking at is the, water tracing, like people moving from parts of Loima and telling you they are moving to north. So the question is why? And is it really, for example, mainly water, or is it any other livelihood? It could be livestock keeping or other form of livelihood that is making them migrate. Yeah, so broadly, that's what we are trying to look at in terms of migrations, mobility, and the water resources.
Okay, thanks very much, Dennis. I had one other question, which just is a final reflection. There's also one from Alan Nicol just come into the chat. Hi, Alan. But it'd be great if Dennis and Florence, if you had a last reflection just on what research programs should be doing to support career development for early career researchers. We've got Anna here from FCDO, so let FCDO and other people here involved in designing funding what you think would be great for supporting career development.
I think I may have a go at it, and yeah. So one of from the experience I've had since REACH program is one of the main spaces that could really optimize or enhance career spaces for the early career researchers would be creating platforms, for example, such as this. But then if FCDO can come up with mechanisms that could create platforms for early career researchers with experience in programs such as the REACH program come together. So just platforms to bring together those early career researchers to talk about their experiences, and of course, be able to share with other groups or people or institutions that may be in need of the same. So that would really be helpful. Then the role that early career experts can play in research governance and organization. That would also be very important, given the experience we've had, for example, in coordinating and taking part actively in decision making around and governance of research programs. So if such platforms could be created through initiatives such as the one I've mentioned around those platform creation, that would really be helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, Florence.
Yeah, so on my side, I think in addition to what Dennis has mentioned, and I want to say this session is really short because it is very useful to also exchange in that. I think have the career researchers in different projects. I know this can vary depending on a project, on how it has been packaged, but giving the early career researchers a leadership role, for me, I really want to say the growth I had was because of the environment around REACH and also the kind of environment I had with the supervision level level where you are left to be in control of what you are doing, and of course being trusted that you are delivering on what you are working on. So that really sharpens your approach to things, and also the thinking that you have will be much more dynamic. I want to still say, if of course you are an early career researcher and you are here, it is really currently most projects are no longer looking at the discipline that you are just working on. You have to be multidisciplinary in nature. Just Rich had such a very nice cocktail of different researchers, and that alone really makes you to think in that dimension. Like let me give the perspective here, where when we are developing the projects, for example, those maybe that I am leading, you have to think like you are the whole of Reach. You have the social mindset, you have the infrastructure part, and also you have the policy dimensions vis-a-vis the science technical part. So I think going forward, this Reach project could act as a global pilot in terms of informing the strategies on how other researchers or research projects could really be developed, and having variety of expertise within the early career researchers, and having them, as Dennis mentioned, exchange the information both within themselves and also with the stakeholders out there.
Wonderful. Thanks, Florence. Right, well, we're coming up to the hour, so I think, Katrina, we need to wrap it up here. I mean, from my side, and just many thanks to everybody joining again. It's wonderful to see everybody. It's great to hear about all of the updates of the work. As we've mentioned, this will be an annual event. We look for feedback in terms of how we might do this differently or better. We welcome that. And there is the opportunity to stay involved with the alumni network. I think those links have been shared as well, and we very much welcome the opportunities to stay engaged with such a wonderful group of researchers and practitioners. Katrina?
Yeah, same from me. And so thanks very much, everyone. And we look forward to keeping in touch with you, and to hosting more of these sessions in the future. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.